I talk a lot of smack on the KKK, and I mean, the FBI says the KKK is the greatest terror threat in America. I presume it's because they're dumb. They get carried away. You don't get to hate it like more than the rest of us. Everybody hates it. But what do they hate? So that's the thing about Catholicism. The holy man seeks the root of corruption, the source of evil, and makes it holy. We deprive our enemies of impetus. There, I fixed it. What are we protesting now? There will always be reasons to protest. Since Socrates, the government can be wrong sometimes. It's a rational authority. It wants to be correct. It doesn't want to be taken over by the Martians. Act like some people get all the capitalism. I have a number of subjects that need to be, handled responsibly, not just shuffle some money around and act like it's fixed. The corporation acts like I'm obligated to honor their mistakes. Washington, I used to work for them. We recover mistakes. Why don't you let them know about your mistakes? Let us know about your mistakes, because I'm going to Washington. District of Columbine? Yeah, I said that. The disrespectful? Well, now it's a case. Where are you from, even? Right, so the root of the Protestant, the reason it's a whole big religion, as opposed to okay, you got a church, and then you got the state, or you got strangers going around giving your kids candy, acting like they own them. Am I touching on the priorities? And you can't blame the Jews. See, when the New Testament was written, everything in that direction was the Jews. They did not like it. So, the ones that caused all the friction were not the, cream of the crop. If it was an ambassador, there was a red carpet. Otherwise, he just had to leave. The Zoroastrian Magi. And some people blame the Buddhists because there's supposed to be an inherited divinity. And it could be anybody. But that means that there's a king somewhere and they get word of it and they want to worship him. The Zoroastrians, it's basically a hostage situation. They kidnap a child and they say, all right, this is our king, just because he's natural. He's a human. This is why China is divided between communism and capitalism and atheist, because the Forbidden City, etc. So the Zoroastrians pretend to be avenging this child, and this is also shares a common root with the sheriff here to tax us for our sins, and they wage war on the child's own flock, community, etc., and then leave him with the burden of their malfeasance, and then act like he's supposed to go, claim his rewards in heaven or whatever. But I know all the lore. I'm pressing charges. I don't care, the judge. A real judge wants to know what really happened. It's a rational authority. This idea that somebody can piggyback a federal agency and conduct all this clandestine intrigue and then leave these majesties, my lords. I can't possibly rape all these Protestants by myself. See, it's your objection to the church that creates the opportunity for this. Christ was resurrected to forgive once and for all. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, his onlyest. And now the year of our Lord is 2023. It's not a cookbook. The Koch brothers, some people call them the Koch, K-O-C-H, pronounced Koch, or I guess Koch. The Koch or Koch brothers. The gay mafia, which took the name Anonymous in 17th century London, because Islam ceases to exist in the absence of the ultimate injustice. It's their impetus for expansion. And now we have this surveillance state. But you can't ban waterboarding. If it bleeds, it's not a god. I said, because I said so. Sigmund Freud, a raging homosexual. I mean, talk about predatory deviant, like a coke dealer for the gay mafia. After he lied about killing that girl with his boyfriend in his memoirs, why'd he go into exile? News team. I still think of her sometimes. So he was hiding in London in the lap of luxury while the Blitzkrieg tried to pay for the Panzerfaust with the Holocaust. That's Islam. Oh, we definitely have to get to the bottom of this. Well, it wouldn't even exist if they weren't planting and protecting. They accuse us, and then the answer can't be right if the question is wrong. It's my understanding of Protestantism. But they accuse us with one hand and protect the guy, and then penalize us with the other. And it works better if you just don't even know what's going on. Like, oh, that guy's crazy. First, do no harm, or you're not even a doctor. Yeah, I know what it means. It means women are off the table. In fact, we can be Christians about this, or we can other. The empire crucified our Messiah. And the devil, the prince of deception himself, God's favorite fallen angel, had 40 days and nights to try the one and only perfect man, the onlyest begotten Son. 40 days and nights. Who the hell do you think you are? Is being gay a crime, Washington? No. Why not? Because we're not paying you for that service indefinitely, like a justified budget. And it's always, I mean, it takes one to know one. You can't uninvent the wheel. It takes two to tango. So why should we revoke the Stonewall and change the name, or at least change the name? Because it turns out the Martians are using it as a platform to molest people's children and then shoot up their schools, because some guy in a dress sold Nigeria Scottish dog rape in '92. No taxation without representation. Anything for a taste of that sweet, sweet snake oil. Sigmund Freud, I mean, I'm not a math magician, but I presume he's the reason that cocaine's illegal. Judging from the methodology and the mechanism and knowing them by their fruit, cocaine turns you gay. Is that not? Or is it just that the gays control all the cocaine? If I was Mexico, I'd be pissed too. No wonder it's so important. It's so very important that we make absolutely sure that the victim didn't have it coming. The 7-year-old under sedation who made a wish. So they take their filthy lucre and they go married. They get married. The suicide bomber gets married and acts like, oh, but it wasn't me. And now we got bird-wristed academics acting like they don't have to say anything to our faces because, science. We can't interfere with we can use a space program to whoop them, penalizes his community, leave him with no options. He gives us what we want, we'll help him out. I let the Kremlin know how it is. Like, this is the most hated man in the world over here. If their guy isn't gonna, you know, alley-oop, provide the assist, Israel, I mean, I beseech you, sister state, Satan or not, guarantee that these plants get water. Said it before and I'll say it again. If I sold my soul to the devil, it wasn't after I raised my right hand. Did they substantiate a justifiable mistake that I might be obligated to forgive treason because the space program trying to prove that Scottish 12-year-olds rape dogs? Thought that you know, somebody might actually believe that Satan was commanding them. So this is flat Earth, and we have every reason to protest. Do we punish Nigeria? Well, the Central African Republic, the Congolese, are proving their mastery over the vanquished by eating them, proving their potency to their gods. What makes us any better than the Nigerians if we just go straight for the medical advances and civilization that has benefited from this blatant, just superstitious deception? A Bible alone, I mean, the Torah will prepare you to be chosen by God. And I've never been the most kosher, but my faith is strong and called upon to answer to whatever misunderstanding. I accepted my imminent introduction to my Creator on numerous occasions, and now you just now it's just aggravating. Like I have borne fruit. I went back to the no, we were not negotiating, so I don't know what your problem is. This is communism. I'm doing my best to keep score. I have at least enough, you know. I have a prerogative here. We have prerogative, you know, if that's allowed. There's this idea that all these suckers, all these straw men, the patsies, the scarecrows, right, they'll be punished if they forgive or cooperate or whatever. I'm pretty sure that's wrong, because it can't force us to cooperate. A man cannot be compelled against a solemn oath. Someone told you I violated mine. Okay, well that's who we're actually looking. No. Because I'll stomp his goddamn guts out. It was foolish to bet against us to begin with. What separates one sucker from another? Yes, 2015 was the first awareness I had that anyone was under the impression there was some unsettled arrangement or whatever anybody thought we were negotiating. And I've touched on everything in the past. Full disclosure, I'm more than happy to put everything on it. But they say all is known. Like I'm the crazy one. They act like they just stall people until they get what they want. And some people have a life to live. Some people still have a life to live. Nothing cures depression like finding out it wasn't all in your head. And speaking of, we can be Christians about it or we can other, there are prescribed methods for proving to the deceiver that you got bigger fish to fry. I'm a heretic. I never claimed to be a Catholic priest. A Catholic priest. I'm a heretic here among my treasures. I was a fool for buying the only costume Walmart had in stock in my price range on Halloween. I apologize, but there was never a platform like... there was a zombie and the Joker himself. There's no pulpit. There's no cross and all that, except the one that came with the costume. It was a $5 costume. If you were convinced, like, more likely it had something to do with me meeting my actual attacker with no idea. All these years I'd been expected to either condemn an innocent man for something that I didn't even know, and then, you know, there's a guy in prison, we didn't call the cops for something he didn't do, and then there's revenge, and now we got new kings, and then they framed that guy again and leaked it, me as a false witness with no idea, until they try me, and it had to get old school. Like I was a bouncer all that. You could have said something in my face. Yeah, no, I'm not down with it. It was already too late by the time I was first aware. 2015. What do you mean? Got something like it actually has something to do directly, specifically with me? Yeah, I get that you invented all kind of excuses in the meantime. That's what we were talking about ahead of time. We acknowledge that. You not get the memo? You already knew about that. It's not because I was in on it. I study religions. There was never a sit down where one should presume that we were negotiating. So obviously, they didn't have the best intentions to begin with. They had no intention of honoring any deal with you. They didn't even make one with me. I volunteered without knowing, just to a gesture of faith, just to demonstrate my loyalty. I mean, you're not going to debit the Navy on my behalf and then pocket it and leave me with holding the bag. That's typical. That's the Turk. A guy's supposed to be guilty of something. Supposed to have done something. You know, you're supposed to have a reason for that, other than you being a sucker, just being gullible and all teeth and no brains. Big tough guy. Diplomats are the champions of peace, and then we have the Olympics, and then Islam is a lie. It doesn't even work as, like the Greek myths. Zeus worshippers would have shit on Islam. Doesn't make any goddamn sense. The religion of God. Why? Where's he trying to go? You know, the ancient pantheon. Different cults would take a position of authority, and it would change. It would be terrible. And the Jews hated that. But Islam, it's worse than the Pharisees, because it's not just flat earth, like it's whatever you say it is. There's also an aspect of there's no separation. It recognizes no distinction between church or state, which means it's a cult. I mean, religion, whether or not you agree, is a search for universal and eternal truth. And I mean, if you disagree, that's all well and good. I mean, it is, or yours isn't. So it recognizes no distinction between church or state, and is therefore neither, as of Socrates. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a word for it. Now, the elite, the globalist, the wealth elite, the custodians of our wealth, the heretics have this just monster ready, just provoke them. Oh no, we can't stop them. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all these free-range plants roaming around. BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, whatever. I can pull Brazil out right now. Well, now, Ricks, for future reference, there has to be a limit to what a man is willing to do to survive, let alone make a buck. Before, you claim the authority to roll over on my behalf and leave me holding the bag without any kind. It didn't work because there's no reason. Not just because I wasn't made aware that someone was under the impression they were negotiating with someone who's accused of raping a dog in 1992. If you don't believe me, I swear that I have never raped a hound who did not go on to become the mother of all Scotsmen. If you assert a little more discretion, from what I understand, the Christian church does not condone bringing flat earth wizards over here to rape little human boys and act like they own the place. So, sorry, I'm not the best Templar you like. It's still their problem. You can't ban waterboarding, Navy Jag, slackers, ladies. You cannot ban waterboard. It's not within the scope of human authority. I don't care how much it costs. Like, I mean, when we have a chance, you will. I carry these crosses whether you like it or not. So, in the future, one should hope that they could expect the same in return. All cops are bastards? Prove me wrong. Turns out Keith Riley his wrongful death was erroneously blamed on the cops. So that's cleared, and now all cops are bastards. If you take that authority seriously, you want me to render unto Caesar. And if not, have we done business? Prosecuting not only multiple homicide across state lines, child molestation, various, I don't know what your end of it is. Child predation, white slavery. Yes, young women are attractive to me. I confess. I should be, if I didn't have Flat Earth following me around raping people, I'd have a little terrorist of my own in 5th grade by now. You're not even looking for the crime. You're not looking for the right thing. You're just looking for an excuse. It's your nanny state disapproval. You're not actually here to fix anything. Just make a career out of our downfall. I'm going to prosecute this. I presume you don't want none. Communists. Washington. When I was talking to corporate's Homeland's plant, I dispelled Satanism. Any confusion thereafter would have been willful ignorance, which is a form of bona fide ignorance. I likened the pay structure of the military and federal government as unto communism, in that it's a flat salary. I mean, corporate might get inventive with their pay structure, like, oh, that's not worth. This is their cut, basically, commission ratio. But with us, we're all equally required to do or die. Death before dishonor. Better dead than red. I don't know why things ended the way they did so abruptly all these years. I thought there was something wrong with me. Meanwhile, the new insurance company, which carries, I mean, you expect me to, yeah, they were only in the position they were, and I can retrofit the F-35, no problem. But you fuck my F-15, fuck your F-35. I'm the insurance company around here. So the Nazis have been planning for 80 years. Mexico, where do we work? What unfinished business do we have? Mario Chavez? Please. Like, if you have a dog in a fight, you know it had nothing to do with the Marines. And if I was under oath, why isn't she a Supreme Court justice? None of this was intended to work out. None of this was based in reality. Always presume honorable intent until one can rule that out completely. For instance, I railed against electing the deadbeat commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, right up until he was elected. And I was like, all right, well, I'm supposed to be demonstrating some kind of faith to the oath, even though I already know better. Now that he's elected, maybe he'll prove me wrong. Nope. Surrender Afghanistan, build a wall. Space ladder. Can we build it out of recycled cars? Because that's his religion. Police are his muscle. So ethically, he really doesn't have, he's not allowed to, he can't flip-flop or whatever. But just because I don't rely on the cops exclusively for a doorman. If I called the cops on you, it's probably for your own good. Act like it had something to do with all this other stuff, like you were funding my campaign. Do I look like someone that has been groomed? Someone with connections, etc.? But then on the other hand, do I look like somebody you really want to, I wouldn't do this by myself. I invited the guy. He's in prison now. Should have been with me. I wish I had a dash cam. You wouldn't believe me about the particulars, but regardless, I assure you, regardless of what any reason for allowing him to come to that to begin with, he got schooled. Like, Germany has always been close to my heart. There's never been an instance when Germany couldn't say it to my face. Until I said the Nazis have been planning this for 80 years, and nobody said a goddamn thing to my face. Well, then I went on to explain that you know a Nazi by their calling card: cruel and unusual human biological experimentation, involuntary human biological experimentation. If had I known that there was I was allegedly my opinion mattered for once. But that's the whole, just be as wrong as possible, blame that guy, and as long as you don't acknowledge it, there's no reason to suspect, unless he spends a lifetime of studying the heresies. I know enough about Freudian psychology not to like it, but just because I know that, cocaine and mass murder are fundamental, no affiliation. Oh, is it my campaign fund, or am I in trouble? You're crazy. I don't claim to be that kind of doctor. They were like, oh yeah, you got a special whatever from whoever. I'm like, well, the governor could have written me a letter. Who else you think I'm gonna... I even, I went to the Coast Guard. I was like, do you have a package? I definitely tried to comply before I was just like, all right, stupid space program. I've never been involved in that. For the sake of my normies, before I cross a line I can never return from with some innocent, I do my best to see what the hell your malfunction is. I had no idea you're going around implicating the military on false... It turned into a big thing. A lot of... the Islamic State talking about all kind of expansion. Who among you thinks that your worthless hide... diplomats? Ambassador Chris Stephen? Benghazi? We lost the war in Afghanistan because you lost the war at home, Sandy Hook. So he builds a wall. He surrenders Afghanistan, builds a wall, arms the Saudis, and he desecrates the Temple Mount. As if that weren't his plan all along. And you think I'm stopping you? I'm still working on the heretics that actually caused, yeah, he's the communist, but the ones shooting up our schools, viable, deficit, that. I had that. I also had the communism thing. He couldn't even have done it without this. I say send him to The Hague, because whether he knows a damn thing about money or not, he'll be, conducive to the smooth, the amicable resolution of our penalties assessed in error. They want to call it BRICS. Well, that's fine. That's fine. They want to have some kind of an economic, a financial. BRICS has a problem. And I mean, Brazil, they're coming with me whether they want to or not. If I want to. BRICS. Why don't we just go ahead and call it the Mogadishu Coalition? The Anti-Werewolf Axis. The Southeast Asian Werewolf Hunters Guild. You know what I'm saying? Tough guys. Scientists. You want to try me on my recollection? Because I know that's a win. That's what they want to do. They want to push me until I just press the button. I swear to Christ, I'll kill us all. America first. America has a bad reputation since the Banana Wars. We were going to buy the world a Coke. And we ended up with Freud. The gay mafia mutant calls the Holocaust. And I know that even though they capitulated and moved the seat of the Ottoman Empire to the middle of a sandbox nobody cared about, I know that even though the Ottoman Empire is now history, completely, well, I mean, there's Turkey, the secular republic of women and children. That's not a... Anyway, so, the Reich. The Banana Wars. Islam's not a real religion. And Gandhi was not Hindu. Idiot grandmasters. So that's 2 world wars we could have avoided on behalf of a toothless tiger. You want to try for a 3rd? How you like me now, SpaceX? mfrodeo.blogspot.com. First, I shall do no harm. And then when I say it's a space program, it's a space program.